And we are live. We are back with 2021 NA Apprentice Season 2. We are here. It is the playoffs. It is the round of 8. I am Live VIP, and with me is the lovely mLty.
Hello, everybody. It's really nice to be here tonight, and I am super looking forward to this round of 8. We've got some really exciting games ahead of us today.
Oh yeah. We got some peak NA StarCraft here, and not just NA StarCraft. We missed it last week in the group stage, but we finally have some Zergs.
Yes, I am very excited. We've got like 2 really top tier North American Zergs in Ukko and Jon Snow. Both of them happen to be American, and I am looking forward to see what they have brought for us today.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially because they're in the best matchup possible. They are up against Terran players, so they're gonna be so juicy to get into. But of course, alongside those matchups, we also have a PvT, and of course, it wouldn't be an NA tournament without a PvP.
Yes, and I'm not sure the exact order, but on Liquipedia, that's at the top, so I assume that's where we might be starting. And PvP is always an excellent time. It's great memes.
Oh yeah. I especially considering the players that we have, I know TriGGeR, he can be quite cheesy if he needs to be. I'm hoping we get at least one cannon rush this series.
Yes, fingers crossed. Hopefully they can channel their inner printf. And yes, that would be really nice to see. Because honestly, cannon rush in PvP is the best way to experience PvP, at least once a series.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, but we'll see. We're just gonna get straight into it. Of course, just a reminder to everyone, all of these matches are best of 5s, so we've got at least 5 games every single series, and yeah, I think we can just get into it.
I think so too. I am really looking forward to this. The first map, of course, is going to be Lightshade, which is, I think, not a terrible cannon rush map, so there is a chance.
Oh yeah. We shall see. Oh boy, as we load in to Lightshade, as you said, and spawning in the top left, we have our Canadian Protoss player. He is, of course, representing Ro8 Gaming. It's been a while since I've said that. We have DisK.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, representing Alpha X Gaming from the USA, give it up for the yellow Protoss player of TriGGeR.
Oh boy. So I have to ask you, are you familiar with these players perchance, other than what we've seen so far of at least TriGGeR?
I actually am somewhat familiar with DisK. I've met him at a couple of different LAN events here in North America, and in general, I'm also somewhat familiar with his play, as I do tune into his stream on occasion. And I feel like he's a very straight up in a way. Like, he won't not cheese, but he leans more towards macro, in my opinion. And so it's always a fun time to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like DisK, he started to really, in my opinion, kind of peak in terms of performance last year. I believe it was last year where he actually managed to qualify for the DreamHack main event, and he was actually looking pretty good there. I don't know if he's actually been able to achieve that high of a result before in the past.
Yeah, I don't think he has either, and I'm very curious what, if anything, they have prepared for us, because sorry to be a distraction, there's a proxy paladin on the map, and I want to see what that tech is.
Oh boy. I imagine Robo question mark. I mean, the Cybercore is about to finish up, and still we don't see anything quite yet. He does have the probe selected. Oh,
please
show us.
I'm hoping for a Twilight Council myself, but hey, it's the Robo. Okay. So this is very interesting. I'm very, because this is going to be so aggressive. I'm very curious if DisK will be able to defend this, because I'm not sure he has sussed it out just yet.
Yeah, he did probe scout, and I imagine, yeah, he saw that there was only one pylon in the main base. So right now he is looking for a proxy pylon. He is over in the top right-hand side of the map with a probe, and oh, he is rallied not to spot it. Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, it looks like he's sending it back in, but I'm curious if, since he's has not seen anything just yet, it looks like he might just discover it now, and just barely out of the corner of his vision, he sees the building, and before it finishes too, which is very, very nice.
Oh yeah, and what's interesting is that he does attack the robo as well. So he does. Oh, okay. I mean, the pylon was done. So TriGGeR, he knew that he was already caught out, and we'll see if TriGGeR is going to be able to keep this alive.
Yeah, he does have the 2 stalkers here, and now that TriGGeR has taken the high ground, I feel like he's going to be in a better position to at least start the rush, but he is going to have problems continuing the rush if DisK manages to keep up this nice unit production, and a shield battery as well. Ooh, I really like that.
Yeah. I also like how it's a little bit far back as well. There is always the possibility that TriGGeR, after this Immortal, gets a War Prism and then just goes straight into the main base with his army, which is terrifying, right? So you have to kind of try and be prepared for that and make sure your buildings aren't too far forward, too overcommitted, so you can kind of defend at different angles.
Yes, exactly. And this Void Ray and the extra pylon, I think, will be very nice in helping out with this, just because that Void Ray will do so much work to shut down the War Prism. And these Adepts also being great for scouting. I am loving DisK's defense here.
Oh yeah, definitely. So far, so good. I love this. He's even throwing down a second shield battery just in case. I believe the first may be within region, within range of overcharge.
Yeah, I believe so. It's honestly, it's going to be very, very close. But if it is an overcharge, I think it might get a little iffy once it gets to a 2 immortal count, but that is a little bit away.
That it is. As the War Prism is done, it is meeting up with the rest of the army. But again, as you said, it's so important that we already have one, about to be 2 Void Rays to help deny that vision or that unit.
Exactly, the Warp Prism trying to warp things in. I really like the force field on the wall. It buys quite a lot of time. And now with TriGGeR backing up, I'm a little worried for DisK, since he's only on 1 gateway at the minute.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of production. What's interesting as well is that TriGGeR is expanding, and DisK sees it. He sees it with his Adepts as well, so he's well aware that that TriGGeR isn't looking to overcommit.
Hello?
Oh, I may have lagged out a little bit there. Okay.
Yeah, no, all right, so you're back, I can hear you now. And we do it with this Colossus Hallucinated. I really like this, it just looks fancy. And it's also a good way to get that high ground vision without having to worry about the Warp Prism being so far forward, which is also very nice when there are so many air units for DisK in the back here.
Yeah, definitely. But again, like, I feel like the name of the game for TriGGeR right now is just to contain his opponent, right? Like, he's slowly expanding, like, he's starting to probe up a little bit, like, he just needs to keep DisK at home. Oh my god.
Exactly, and I'm maybe he goes forward, I'm not sure. Does he break in here? What?
I mean, the Void Rays, they left, they're not here.
The Void Ray is opting to kill the pylon powering the robotics facility, but just there aren't that many units here for DisK remaining. The Immortal does go down, which is really nice, since he's not getting any more anytime soon. And I think DisK has maybe done it, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
At least not dead yet.
He was able to defend again, like, really impressive that he was able to pull that off without his Void Rays. And as you said, he actually depowered the Robo, so no more Immortals, and now TriGGeR, he's forced to fight.
Yeah, TriGGeR, really nice shield batteries to buy some time versus DisK, but that's only really what he's getting, time. And that's all he needs, since he does have this Nexus. He's in a much better economic position, and DisK needs to maybe get another really good fight here in a sec.
Yeah, so far so good. It looks like he's picking off a couple of units here and there as they retreat. Nice force field, but it doesn't stem the tide of DisK. He's just sending it across the map. It looks like there will be maybe 1 shield battery ready. Oh, 2.
And to the shield batteries, it's going to be a very tight timeline. They might not be here for the start of the fight, depending, as it looks like we may have a fight on our hands. Both players posturing back and forth, and oh man, TriGGeR just has so many stalkers.
Oh yeah, exactly. Enough to two-shot a Void Ray. The Void Ray does go down. TriGGeR kind of using shield, his overcharge a little bit preemptively there. I don't know if I agree with that, but regardless, he has so many stalkers. This he can't break him.
Exactly, just that stalker count, it will be unbreakable for the foreseeable future. You really need Immortals to take this down, and Immortals is what we're getting, with some on the way. I like this from DisK, although he is still behind economically, so he really needs his Nexus to finish.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really curious to see what TriGGeR does from here, because, oh my god, as a couple of adepts do get into the mineral line, so he does get a couple of worker kills, but like he has no robo, right? So he's perpetually going to be down in terms of Immortals.
Exactly, and like with Blink Stalkers, you can do a little bit against to catch back up on mortal production, but you just take so much damage from the free Stalker shots that like it's going to be incredibly rough. But Blink again will help, and I also believe it'll help catch this Warp Prison if this is not careful. But looks like he's warping in nice and far back, so that is very nice.
Yeah, definitely. I was about to say that like I would kind of want to see maybe TriGGeR even go for some kind of timing or some kind of all in, you know, with this blink. But we see he's the first to expand. He's taking a third base. Okay.
Yeah, I mean his lead is in the economy, so if he keeps it up, as we do see a recall as these adepts are on the main base, getting 2-3 probes before looking like they will get out or go down.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, the adepts, they're getting a decent amount of damage. There's even one adept still here in the natural. Takes a while to get cleaned up. But yeah, really nicely done by DisK, and he still has that War Prism. Whenever he wants, he can dive back in.
Exactly, and just because TriGGeR is so far behind on that tech, he doesn't have, like a Stargate for like one Phoenix would be nice, but you can afford Stargate for one Phoenix to prevent this backdoor warp, and you've got to go for it. You have Blink finished, you have Charge on the way, and you just have so many Stalkers. I'm not sure if DisK is properly set up for this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he looks pretty well set up at his natural, and TriGGeR is actually looking to try and break him. What's a bit of a shame is that TriGGeR hasn't checked the third location. Oh, okay, it looks like he may check now, and if he does, he should be able to deny it.
Yeah, this is just a completely free cancel here, and TriGGeR, his third base being already done, is just going to get more and more ahead in the economy. However, that does need to translate to army a little bit, and so I feel like if DisK gets a third base up soon, you can probably defend well.
Yeah, like that's the most worrisome thing right now for TriGGeR, is that he doesn't have a Stargate, he doesn't have a Robo, he doesn't have a Dark Shrine. These are all things that DisK either has or is working towards. So it's a little bit scary, especially because I just mentioned the Dark Shrine. Right now, TriGGeR has no detection.
Yeah, that just the last thing he had was an observer, and it's still a and I think he still has one alive somewhere, but I can't find it at the minute. But it's nowhere near position in any of his bases to defend any of the mineral lines, and so even like and like just the tech to get observers without that one, which can very easily be picked off, is so far away.
Exactly. It's honestly terrifying right now. There's definitely like a win condition scenario here for DisK, even if he just warps in a single DT for every single base for each mineral line. We do see TriGGeR is finally remaking that Robo, but there is still a lot of potential with this Dark Shrine for DisK.
Yes, exactly. And this Dark Shrine might just be scattered with hallucination here if it is as huge, but looks like it just barely avoids it. Really nice job by DisK to put that as far back as possible. And with a DT being warped in already, I am quite liking the lack of observers already in position.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully for TriGGeR, it is only one DT, and of course he can always recall the observer that he has out on the map, but yeah, I think so far he hasn't quite sussed this out, and we do have a second DT coming in as well.
Yes, I really like it. This second DT, it will, I feel like, do so much damage because the observers are not in position. With the DT in the top pulling the army one way, the DT in the bottom will pull it another way, and both of them so much damage from it. 10, 11, 12 probes go down. Oh my god, well worth it for these two DTs. Yes, and that I feel like that puts DisK in. It does actually put him so far ahead economically that I feel like DisK should be the one taking a fourth here, not TriGGeR.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can see the massive disparity in terms of the workers. We do see TriGGeR is taking it fourth, and I mean, to be fair, he kind of needs to get back up in terms of that worker count to make 4 probes at a time. But again, DisK is already here. He is checking that 4th base here to try and deny it. TriGGeR though, he still has a pretty massive army.
Yeah, this army of TriGGeR still will be quite big, as these stalkers are getting caught, and a lot of them going down, a couple of them even in good red. And I feel like TriGGeR should just continue to chase here, because what's really, like, there's not that much at home other than a bunch of Zealots and Immortals.
Yeah, exactly. Like this, again, TriGGeR can achieve so much here with his stalkers. He's pushing out. He has to be careful. There are 3 Immortals to defend for DisK, so he doesn't want to overextend.
Yeah, those Immortals really doing a nice job being such a scary backline, but with this many Stalkers, I feel like backing up is the right choice while you're behind in Immortal count, but like, I feel like you should do something soon.
Yeah, exactly, especially because we still don't see anything here, like as in, where's the Immortal production for TriGGeR? Where are the upgrades, right? +2 is about to finish up for DisK. TriGGeR hasn't even started +1.
And it's such a big problem, even though he got a forge such a long time ago. The fact that his upgrade still hasn't started, I feel, is a massive problem. Is this DT still getting damage done?
Oh
Make
my!
that 7 probes.
Ah, God, you almost never see that happen. The follow-up DT, just a single DT getting 7 probes. A little bit too much all-army hockey maybe, as all 3 observers are with the main army. But now TriGGeR is going across the map. He has to hit this timing, but it's also kind of an anti-timing. +2 is about to finish up for DisK.
I know, and with DisK having that +2 advantage, it is huge. It makes your Zealots do so much more cost effectively versus just basically everything, and a lot of Protoss timing, especially in career, revolve around hitting right when +2 is finished. So attacking now is the worst thing TriGGeR could be doing, I feel.
Yeah, but also he kind of has to, right? Like he does have the army advantage right now, so maybe he can make something happen. Just now he does realize his upgrades are down. He starts +1, and so far he's trading relatively well with DisK.
Yeah, he has a small force of Zealots up top, just trading against probes and keeping DisK zoned, basically sitting around his 3rd base as the fight goes on. And I feel like TriGGeR is trading really well with the Stalkers, but the Archons pushing forward. I don't know.
Yeah, DisK, he blinks back, he exposes all his Archons, all the Archons go down, the Immortals decide to go down. Like, DisK, despite the upgrade advantage, despite the tech with the Immortals, he just can't keep up with the sheer amount of Stalkers.
Yeah, no, just this mass Stalker for TriGGeR, especially with that blink as being so scared. And with DTs being warped in, it's doing something, but is it enough?
There's no detection. I think he sniped it off earlier. The DTs are doing so much damage.
What? I did not realize there's no detection. This is huge. DisK, the clutch DT play is doing so much, but he still needs to deal with these Stalkers, and with blink, they're very fast.
That they are, but TriGGeR, oh my God, he does end up backing off. He does realize that his army is getting whittled down over time. Oh my God, the DT's the saving grace for TriGGeR. Finally, some detection does show up for TriGGeR, but it's not enough. He doesn't have any more momentum. He's pushed back.
He is pushed back, although his 5th base now on the way and his slight economic lead, I feel like will let him build a massive army once again, as DisK is being forced to rebuild and is mainly focusing on Zealots with no real Immortals in production, and they dealt so much damage last time. I still feel like they could be somewhat useful.
And you know what? Enough time has passed. TriGGeR, he finished up +1. He's working on +2. And in the midst of all that chaos, like DisK, he didn't start +3 of his own. So TriGGeR, he is slowly closing that gap in terms of upgrades. And that's really the big linchpin, the big thing going for DisK right now, especially after losing all his Immortals.
I agree with you there. As we do it, maybe be getting a fight, both players posturing very close to each other. And there's just, I feel like with the, if DisK gets before his opponent's +2 finishes, maybe he can get something done, but that's still such a huge army.
That's so many Zealots. Oh my God. Jeez, for both players, to be fair, just warping in nothing but Zealots right now. But yeah, DisK, he just doesn't have enough right now. He doesn't feel like he has enough. The 2 armies are actually missing each other. Oh, the Warp Prism!
Oh no, the Warp Prism that goes down. Really nice flanking maneuver by TriGGeR. He catches the Warp Prism, and now he's kind of being chased towards DisK, but I feel like that's okay. because TriGGeR just has the bigger army.
Yeah, exactly. TriGGeR forcing DisK into a choke point. TriGGeR as well, he also lost his own War Prism, so they both do kind of trade out in the end. But TriGGeR, he's kind of just buying time right now. Again, he's the one who needs to wait for his own upgrades to finish up. He had the base that was under threat, and he's just continuing to warp in nothing but zealots. Oh my god.
And there's just so many zealots from both players here, like as the fight does begin, and it looks like DisK has a nice concave advantage at the beginning, but now TriGGeR just has so many zealots. The zealot front line is gone, the stalkers are forward, and GG gets called. What a game.
GG, well played. I've never seen a PvP that devolves into pure charge load versus pure charge load. What was that?
That was indeed something. I'm very excited to see what that next something will be.
Oh my god, but yeah, wow, GG. TriGGeR does take game number 1, and I love this because this is something that's happening recently with Starduck. Starduck is a new player on the scene in Oceania, just like TriGGeR is a new player for North America. These are two players who were really rising up in 2020, but they really haven't had the opportunity to compete seriously in StarCraft and compete in like DreamHack and stuff like that. So now 2021, this is the year of TriGGeR. You know, this is the first time he's really taking competition seriously.
Yeah, no, TriGGeR is really his breakout year, and what a year it has been for making the top 8 of this. And I feel like he's done reasonably well in most of the ESL Cups that happen weekly. Of course, getting knocked out by a player like Lambo or whatnot kind of ends your run early, but still, like, that consistent growth for TriGGeR and for Starduck has been really impressive to see.
Definitely. Like, I was actually keeping an eye on or I was actually double checking DreamHack Summer for 2021. It starts in May, so we're getting closer. You know, we're getting into the beginning of April. One more month until May, and then finally we're gonna see these players, you know, really duke it out there to qualify for the big events for StarCraft. And TriGGeR, I feel like he's definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Yes, I completely agree with you, as we are starting to load into game number 2 on Romanticide. And I feel like this is a much more defensive map. And so I'm very curious what the players exactly have in plan, because it's pretty easy to get that 3 base layout. Of course, we should probably introduce our players before I talk too much about the map.
Oh, yes, we shall, as we are getting into game number 2 of this best of 5 PvP, and one of those Protoss players is this Canadian Protoss player representing Ro8 Gaming, currently down 0-1 in this best of 5. It is DisK.
And spawning in the upper left-hand corner, representing Alpha X in the country of Canada, the yellow Protoss of TriGGeR.
Oh boy. Things are slowly starting up. No Forge first.
No Forge first, but a low ground wall off, I feel, is very interesting. Now, TriGGeR, I may possibly going for a very quick expansion. This is a just type of play I absolutely love to see, especially on a map as defensive as this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like we were talking about it, Romanticide, it can lend towards that more macro-oriented style. So why not get ahead of things, right? Why not already start with that low ground, already working towards your faster nexus? Of course, this does open up some opportunities for maybe DisK to be a little bit more aggressive and try and punish TriGGeR's greed, but it's gonna be a little bit difficult to do so.
Yes, I agree with you there, as we do have that cybernetics core going down. It looks like this 2-gate versus 1-gate will play out with a DisK being the one to proxy the pylon. I like this response to seeing the fast nexus.
Definitely. It's an amazing response, but you know what? TriGGeR, he's aware of that. He's looking for it, but he just misses it. Oh, but it looks like the rally, he still should be able to find this. Oh no!
Oh no! He sends it home. He missed it completely. I don't believe that this extra gate was gonna get up.
TriGGeR. He was rallied around. The podding was there to spot it, but he just misses it. Even the Zealot who's looking around isn't going to be able to find this. Wow.
Yeah, this is really well done by DisK to just play this absolutely perfectly. And with the Stargate going up, TriGGeR has a good chance of defending it, but he really needs to find this now. It looks like he will.
Yeah, finally he does. And is it too late? We shall see. He is starting up a defense immediately. He starts a shield battery at home. The initial Stalker should be out as well, and he should be able to defend, but we shall see as 2 Stalkers for DisK are already moving out across the map.
Yes, they did have to spend quite a bit of time killing that Zealot that was over here. However, despite that fact, I feel like DisK just gonna have so many Stalkers so quickly. I'm worried. I'm worried for TriGGeR, but I feel like with the shield battery and the Void Rays, he might be able to do it.
Yeah, another key point is that Nexus is about to finish up, and you know, Overcharge will be available as well here in the natural base. We see another shield battery going down, so TriGGeR, he should be able to hold on, but oh my god, he has to wait until Warp Gate finishes before he gets any more Stalkers.
Yeah, and we do have a Void Ray out now, and more Void Rays on the way in. So I feel like TriGGeR is just doubling down on his Void Ray response. And with the shield battery here, I feel like it's not a bad idea, but he might be losing its Stalker. You can't overextend TriGGeR, please.
Oh my god, he doesn't overextend. He loses a little bit of health, but he doesn't end up losing the Stalker. And what's amazing is that he is doubling down. He's throwing down some shield batteries aggressively. Oh my god. Oh, the Void Ray.
Oh. The Void Ray, another Void Ray comes out and saves it, and TriGGeR has to deny these shield batteries. If you start batteries go up for DisK, TriGGeR will be in a world of hurt. More shield batteries going down in the back, and the Stalker nearly getting picked up, but just losing some shield. I feel like DisK maybe just has so many Stalkers.
Yeah, exactly. He has enough to two-shot these Void Rays. The Void Rays, they have to be so careful. Energy is starting to run out on these shield batteries, but Overcharge is always available, but one goes down.
Oh, really nice job, just barely keeping it the second one alive. It is all the way, and it goes down too. And with basically a Stalker left to defend and shield battery overcharge done, full rogues have to be pulled. Another Void Ray is out, but is just going to go down as well. And DisK, maybe he's done it.
Yeah, that's the thing about Stalkers. They do not care about shield batteries. They just have so much burst damage. They are able to out DPS. Just the sheer power of those shield batteries. A bunch of them do get depowered as well. It looks like DisK, he's breaking his opponent.
GG DisK getting us game number 2, or in his pocket, and getting us to game number 3 with an equal score line. And he just had like a really great aggressive response to this. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that is the danger of going for that low ground wall, for being that little bit too greedy in a PvP of all matchups. There are plenty of Protoss players that get away with that. We see a lot of Korean Protoss players. We see Max Packs do this all the time, but you always run that risk. And I do feel like part of it was also TriGGeR scouting that proxy just that too late. And you know, his response as a result was also delayed.
Yes, maybe if TriGGeR had scouted it much farther in advance, then he might have been able to just have more units. By maybe focusing on Stalker and Void Ray production, that I feel like that just if he had just more stuff, he might be able to do it. But his production was set back so far with a massive delay in Warp Gate, and just one thing led to another because he had that. He did not manage to scout the proxy file until it was too late.
Exactly. And with that very quick game number 2, DisK ties up the series, and now we're tied up 1-1.
Yeah, and we are loading into our next map, is what that sound is, Death Aura. Now, Death Aura also has a pretty good low ground wall, since you only need 2 buildings to do it, but I feel like that's so risky to go for if you're TriGGeR, as got absolutely crushed, but maybe DisK will decide to mix things up this time.
We shall see if any of these players risk that low ground wall, as spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the Canadian Protoss player. He is red, representing Roots Gaming. It is DisK.
And spawning in the upper left-hand corner, give it up for Canada's Alpha X player of TriGGeR.
What a madman.
going for it again. I don't believe this.
This is scary, right? Like after, I mean, to be fair, I'm sure after the previous game, TriGGeR's like, oh my god, like if only I had scouted it earlier, like if only if I'd just kept my probes searching for it, maybe things would have turned out differently, and maybe that's how he feels. Maybe he feels confident in his ability to scout and defend.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like just he might make those minor adjustments between series, and we'll be able to just figure out exactly how to fix his response as DisK once again gets that very early probe scout and looks to be maybe proxying something again. I'm very curious if he does the same exact thing.
Oh yeah, so far he's looking poised to do so. He does have the second gateway at home, so he can start 2 stalkers almost immediately. There it is, the pylon does go down across the map. DisK once again turning on the aggression. TriGGeR, will he be able to defend this time?
Yeah, TriGGeR, he is already starting to look for that proxy. He knows that, hey, you're missing 1 pylon, and so going to look for it right away. Really good response. And it looks like he's going to scout it out. He's going to see it so much. Oh no.
mLty, I'm getting deja vu. No, not again.
Not like this. This time it's a robo, so slightly different rush, but I can't believe it. It was right there.
both times, the probe is so close. The robo facility, it's gonna finish up. This time there is no zealot for TriGGeR to go across the map and scout either. He's really just relying on this probe, and it's nowhere near the proxy.
Yeah, it is so far away from any sort of proxy. It's still looking, and maybe he knows that he missed something and will throw down some shield batteries. He already has 1 on the way, but I feel like that 1 is not going to be enough because there's just going to be so many stalkers and immortals as this probe might even miss the stalkers moving out.
Oh my god, it does. It misses everything, mate. It's going in. He confirms that there is no natural base. He needs to defend as best as possible. To be fair, both players are working on the immortals. We didn't quite touch on it, but TriGGeR, he did open up with a robo, which honestly is pretty important here. I was a little bit concerned because obviously shield batteries don't last too long against immortals, but immortals of his own to defend, I feel like could be a little bit better than the previous Void Rays.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And with 3 shield batteries already on the way, I feel like DisK is going to need to really get shield batteries of his own if he really wants to succeed on this push, as there's a small force that is just now starting to push away at this pylon. And with Immortal and more stalkers here, I feel like DisK can shove this back.
Oh yeah, DisK does shove this back. TriGGeR, he did get, 1 stalker kill already, but he did give up that high ground. He was forced back. The shield batteries, they are done for TriGGeR, but honestly, they're really far back. They're not helping that much. Oh god.
Yeah, and DisK is able to keep TriGGeR in a nice choke and only really getting 1 or 2 units out at a time. And if DisK can keep this up, he's going to get these shield batteries to complete on the high ground. However, with TriGGeR, he has the shield batteries, he's got more on the way, but his wall is really hurting him more than helping.
Yeah, exactly. He's forced to fight in this choke point, and he's really struggling to even get out of his natural, and as a result, the shield batteries for DisK are done. A War Prism is here as well. Oh no, the force fields!
The force shield is dealing so much, able to get 1 of those immortals for basically free, and with I can't believe the cybernetics core is down as well. This is going from bad to worse for TriGGeR.
Exactly. Warpgate did finish up just in time, so he can warp in a couple of units, but things are starting to snowball here. No more stalkers in production for TriGGeR. He can only morph in zealots. He still does have all those shield batteries, but god, they're not helping him too much.
Yeah, they're a little far back. If they're a bit more forward, then maybe he'd be able to defend his wall better. But as things stand, TriGGeR, he really just needs to play for time and get more of those high-tech units and hope that it'll be enough.
Oh god, yeah, exactly. And he does have another immortal on the way, to be fair, but there are just so many stalkers here for DisK. His own shield batteries are helping him out so much more compared to that of TriGGeR. TriGGeR, his shield batteries are out of energy.
Yeah, and it's still equal immortal count with just so many stalkers. I feel like it's not going to be enough. One of the shield batteries now depowered, transfers to the other one, and I feel like if TriGGeR maybe had another super battery, he might be able to hold at least for now, but no extra immortals on the way, and 1 nearly getting picked off. DisK moving so far forward, and oh man.
Oh yeah, he has nothing to fear right now. He pushes on forward. A Void Ray does come out for TriGGeR, and that will help out. Overcharge is used, so TriGGeR is barely able to hold on. Oh god, but there are just so many units here. This is just not looking good.
Indeed, it is not. More Zealots being warped in, as that Cybernetics core was never remade. And with DisK just making more forward shield batteries, I am so worried. Oh no, please don't lose that Void Ray.
Oh no, the Void Ray does go down. Only 2 Immortals remaining. The robotics facility is under threat. It will go down. No more Immortals for TriGGeR. He does get another Void Ray in, but I feel like it's a little bit too late, mate.
Yeah, there's so many Stalkers. They're able to be microed around. No more Immortals, and that will be GG. And Roots DisK taking a second win in game number 3.
TriGGeR, just go for the high ground wall. Just please, it's not working out, mate. It's not working out for you.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't go well 2 times in a row. I feel like the Immortal response was very clever. It just wasn't quite able to pull everything together. Maybe if he might think, you know what, that wasn't quite it, but I really got it this time, and try it again. But if he does, I think he's actually just insane.
It could be. What is it? The definition of insanity, you know, he just keeps trying the same thing over and over again. It just keeps, you know, the same result, right? Oh boy, yeah. It's possible.
We will have to see. I'm very curious if what these builds, because if TriGGeR decides to proxy this time, that is what brought him success in game 1. But maybe, I don't know, maybe he goes back to his old ways. I just really have to see.
Yeah, we will see what the openings are. At least when it comes to DisK, we see that, hey, if he sees the opportunity to turn on the aggression, he'll do it. He's not afraid to do so whatsoever. And he has different builds up his sleeve as well, right? You know, here in game number 3, he proxied a Robo. Before that, it was a Gateway.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe next time it'll be a Stargate, because then he can complete the trifecta. But before we get into that, we should probably introduce these players.
That we should. And currently leading this series 2-1, we have the Canadian Protoss player spawning in the top right-hand corner. He is red, representing Root Gaming. It is DisK.
And once again, the Mad Lad spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, representing Alpha X, the yellow Protoss player of TriGGeR.
Okay. So TriGGeR's doing it again, but this time so is DisK.
Yeah, so you've got that going for you. So at least they're doing the same build. DisK deciding, you know what, I'm ahead of game. I can expand, especially on a map as great for expanding as Golden Wall, since that high ground ramp to the natural just does so much for this build.
Oh yeah, definitely. And thankfully, we're not going to have that same issue of Death Aura, where that ramp or that choke point into the natural base is so narrow, where it's so difficult to really like maneuver your units around. So yeah, I'm sure both players are, or at least TriGGeR is breathing a sigh of relief. You know, he scouts, he sees, oh, okay, you know, you're going for the same build that I'm going for, the opening at least. So the game should progress at least a little bit longer.
Exactly. And one thing TriGGeR is doing very nicely is keeping his probe completely healthy, as DisK is starting to get zapped away. And so maybe if TriGGeR keeps this up, he'll be able to get his Nexus just a bit faster. But it is pylon blocked by DisK, which I really like.
Oh yeah. I imagine we should see both players pylon block. Of course, if the pylon does finish up, they can also go for a Cybernetics core as well. But ooh, DisK does cancel his pylon.
Yeah, he did force the Zealot though, which is really nice. And with his much later pylon, it will be a bit easier for the Zealot, or a bit more difficult for the Zealot to go down. As is DisK? Oh, is TriGGeR? No way. Wow. TriGGeR let it finish. Does he build something?
Oh, throw down the cyber core. There it is.
Absolutely wonderful. That makes a massive difference. The cyber core builds so quick, and another pylon attempt by DisK, but this will go down. And so TriGGeR will have a nice economic advantage when both players are trying to be greedy.
Yeah, that he will. To be fair, DisK is well aware that his Nexus will be delayed, so he is investing in his tech a little bit faster. We do see a Stargate on the way, but TriGGeR did dive into the main base. He did scout that with his with his probe, so he is aware.
Yes, and that cyber core now finished. Oh, canceled in the very end. I like it, getting your full resources back, and DisK being able to expand finally. Does have an Oracle on the way, and this Oracle I feel like will need to do a bit of work because he is a couple of probes behind, or will be after the natural Nexus is finished.
Yeah, definitely. So we shall see, because again, TriGGeR, he saw the Stargate, so he should be able to assume that an Oracle is on the way. He should be getting ready for it. There we go. We do have a shield battery being thrown down in the main mineral line, a shield battery at the natural as well.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm a bit like, I think it'll do well unless there's one spot in the mineral line where TriGGeR is not be able to keep his probes alive with that one shield battery. However, I feel like just because of how the Oracle will move into the mineral line, it will be everything okay. Wow, English is hard today.
Yes. I 100% agree with you in that, you know, the shield battery doesn't cover the entire mineral line, right? No, he can still go for the stasis. Oh no, no reaction!
No reaction, so many probes going down. That is a good chunk of money. So that's at least 20 minerals per probe. And well, I'll do some quick counting. I believe that is 7 probes frozen. That is a good, basically a stalker. TriGGeR losing out on a whole stalker. I feel like it's going to be absolutely nice for DisK.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially because, again, like it was on TriGGeR a little bit. He scouted, he knew that an Oracle was going to be on the way, and he relied on that shield battery and kind of neglected his, you know, his micro a little bit there. And wow, the Oracle even dives into the natural and gets a worker kill, gets a probe.
Nice job. More and more of those probes going down is actually great, as this Phoenix goes in and scouts absolutely everything. So TriGGeR now has it revealed that he's going for Blink, and DisK has been shown that he's also getting that Twilight Council, which is fairly normal, but the Ro8 is starting up much faster for DisK.
Yeah, that it is. So there is like this small window where TriGGeR will have the advantage in terms of Blink, and I imagine +1. Meanwhile, DisK is looking to get into Immortals a little bit faster instead. So a little bit of a reversal of game number 1.
Yeah, and also DisK now finally getting his upgrades started in that Forge being thrown down, and also maybe looking to go for a third base very quickly. I'm wondering if DisK is just willing to play defensively with Immortals in a third base, or if he's going to attack behind this.
Yeah, we'll see how he plays this out. I do like the idea of being a little bit more defensive with his Immortals, you know, to secure his third, especially because TriGGeR, he will have, you know, the advantage when it comes to Blink, and he should be well aware of that. As he goes in, he tags the main base once again, make sure he gets a good eye on everything, on the production.
Yeah, and with those, and that revelation will go away relatively quickly, but it still shows absolutely everything you need to see with that robo timing, and the Forge already being done in a third base of his own, but little bit later than DisK. I like it, and it's going to get revealed absolutely immediately. I love it.
DisK on point with his scouting. He sees everything that TriGGeR is doing, and with that information, we'll see what he decides to do, whether, again, he just decides to stay focused on his defenses. He actually throws down 4 additional gateways and make sure he's not behind in terms of the production in any way, and actually hasn't started any Immortals.
Yeah, the just getting observers for now and no Immortals yet, I feel like is a little bit confusing, because why? Immortals, they deal so much damage and they have a decent amount of HP. Why not build them? Even if your opponent isn't super heavy Stalker, which he is and he's attacking with right now.
Yeah. So. DisK, he does put the main army with his observers, and ooh, nice force fields, but the Blink does get revealed. TriGGeR is able to keep all his units alive for now.
Yes, and with more gateways finishing, I feel like DisK has a nice window where he'll just be able to much more easily reinforce with more, since it's 6 gateways versus only 5 at the minute, or only 4, excuse me.
Oh my god. Wow.
The Mad God blinks forward. What is this? And it looks to be trading rather well, especially with the Sentries and the Zealot early on, but after this goes on, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I apologize. I was shook with what just happened. DisK immediately sniping the War Prism just like that, just taking the wind out of the sails of TriGGeR's push, and he's actually winning the engagement in terms of the Stalker battle.
What? that was really nicely done, and also it was right before +1 was finished and +2 is starting up, and so DisK, even though he may have been down an upgrade, he took a gorgeous fight, and his own +2 beginning as well. I'm loving this play from DisK.
Oh yeah, he just completely shut that down. I'm shook right now. It's just, oh my god. And so is TriGGeR as he just goes back home, just loses that War Prism, loses any kind of momentum that he had, and now he's forced to be defensive at home. Oh boy, and now it's TriGGeR's turn to take map control.
Yeah, TriGGeR, he does have that War Prism heading across the map, though it is still a good ways away. So these reinforcements won't be that quick, but blinking to the main looks to be the play. Oh, I'm so worried for TriGGeR.
TriGGeR is so out of position. His army was at the 3rd base. He was not ready for this. No, the Forge!
It does go down. The Super Battery tried to keep it alive and bought a little bit of time, but I feel like that time wasn't enough. As he stopped it, they are able to blink out. They do get chased after. And they're trading reasonably well.
Yeah, exactly. Again, DisK, he can afford to lose a couple of Stalkers here and there because it's well worth it. Delaying that upgrade, getting a snipe on that Forge was absolutely massive.
Yes, really good. And when that +2 finishes, it does get immediately, when that +2 finishes for DisK, he will have a massive timing window to deal absolutely insane amounts of damage with these immortals being produced. I love it. I love it. Meanwhile, TriGGeR does restart his Forge right away, and so it will hopefully not be down in 2 upgrades or an upgrade for too long.
Yeah, hopefully, as it looks like TriGGeR, he's attempting to transition into Charged Out Archon, into a Charged Out Archon based composition, which I fully understand. But again, as you said, like, there's this window where DisK, he has the upgrades, he's gonna have the higher immortal count, he can definitely hit this timing, and I don't know if TriGGeR is going to be ready for it. We shall see. At least he didn't neglect his own immortal production. He still has 1 in his army.
Yeah, those immortals are gonna be so nice just with the amount of stalkers. And while there are zealots now being added into the mix as well as some archons to try and round out the armies a bit more, I feel like this at least being relatively equal in immortal count will put TriGGeR in a nice position if DisK attacks. But DisK takes a 4th base. Interesting. Yeah,
he does take a 4th. Again, he can still be aggressive while taking a 4th behind this, you know, keeping the attention of his opponent across the map. So yeah, he still can be a little bit aggressive, but very interesting that he is the first player to expand. Of course, TriGGeR not too far behind.
Yeah, and DisK also sees that that Forge is being chronoed again as TriGGeR's army is nearing this 4th base. Now, I don't know if DisK is in position yet.
Yeah, DisK is really lacking in terms of the scouting information in the center of the map. A couple of Stalkers do draw away his attention, but that gives TriGGeR the opportunity to deny the 4th.
Yeah, that 4th base is cancelled. No probes were lost, however, and with a couple of Archons being warped in here aggressively, one might actually get picked off here as... Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, nice pickup for DisK, but again, really nice moves by TriGGeR, denying that 4th base, but that does kind of force DisK's hand, right? You know, he's down a base, he has to try and do something to TriGGeR. At the same time, the War Prism does make it into the main base of TriGGeR, but DisK doesn't commit.
Yeah, that Super Battery doing a really nice job of just kind of keeping everything alive in position. Oh, I love this. One behind Dark Shrine as the War Prism goes into the main once again.
Oh my god, that it does. A massive round of zealots is being warped into the main base of TriGGeR, and TriGGeR, he has to be careful not to pull apart his army a little bit too much. He has to still worry about the main army of DisK.
Yeah, and the army is trying to get a 4th base of its own with the Archon on the front taking quite a bit of damage as the zealots are just still going ham in the main base, and I feel like DisK has come out on the better end of that tree.
Oh yeah, exactly. 10 probes have gone down. Finally, the zealots are going to be cleaned up here for TriGGeR, but oh god, it took him far too long. And as you said, those DTs, they did so well for DisK previously in this series, and he can just keep making them. Oh god. At the same time, Stalker is hitting the 3rd.
Oh, I love this. DisK keeping his army absolutely everywhere. And it looks like they might be able to blink out as TriGGeR is being pulled so far to the right to try and contain these stalkers. I would have loved it if DisK moved in on the left, but instead keeping his army at home with the stalkers, they look like they will get away for now. So maybe you can try that again.
Yeah. Honestly, I was waiting for the War Prism to go back in again, right? Like, there was such a nice opportunity there for DisK. Finally, the War Prism does dive back in, and there isn't anything here. A couple of War Prisms are forced, and yo, the DTs are here.
And the shield battery is keeping the stalkers alive as they can, with the super battery doing some nice work, and an observer being over here. Oh man, these DTs not doing nearly as much this time around.
Yeah. Luckily for TriGGeR, he did have detection nearby. He also had a cannon on the way as well. So this time he is able to deal with the DTs beautifully.
Yes, that cannon being really nice for detection. The observers being right there was a tragedy, as these +3 upgrades for both players is fairly equally timed. This is curious since DisK had such a big lead.
Yeah, pretty interesting. He did delay his own upgrade for quite some time there. What's scary is that here we have the next stage of the game. Disruptors are coming out for DisK. They are actually done. They're going to be ready for this fight.
Yeah, these disruptors, the one already out, I feel like as long as you don't hit too many of your own zealots, you're doing a good job as this fight does begin. Disruptor, ooh, that's so many zealots.
Oh my god, so many going down. Another shot goes off, another beautiful connection there as almost every single zealot of TriGGeR goes down.
Yeah, and with the zealots all gone, there's nothing to really buffer for these more high damage units, and GG, and DisK takes it. What? That was really intense at the end. The disruptor is doing so much. I love that play from DisK.
Oh yeah, definitely. GG, well played. DisK. He had a rocky start. He had a rocky game 1, not gonna lie, but he was able to bring it back. He showed off his aggression in game 2 and 3, just not allowing TriGGeR to get away with a greedy expansion, not allowing the game to go on, and then nicely rounding things out here in the final game of the series. A much longer game, but really kind of showing off.
Yeah, exactly. Really well done by DisK. Really just showing, hey, I can beat you with the proxy. I did lose the first time there was a proxy, but not having to face it again was really nice. And beating him also in that really long drawn out macro game was really well done. And we do have another series head and a TVZ this time that I'm really excited for, though.
Oh, that we do. Again, like, congratulations to DisK. He just played that out so well. Wasn't as much of a clan fiesta as I expected from a PvP, but regardless, it was an amazing series. As he does advance to the semifinals, and yes, as you said, we're getting into our first TVZ of the night.